This is the answers to practice test 13A. You only need to watch the parts of the test that apply to you. So when you got a wrong answer. So go ahead and fast forward if you got the answer correctly. Okay. First question. What is the total price of a $10,000 car plus 7.5% sales tax? So I'm going to multiply because I'm finding sales tax. And I know that's multiplying. I'm not going to worry about my decimals right now. So I find when I multiply that I get 75,000. However, my original 7.5%, I'm going to change this into decimal form. And it looks like that. So I know there's 3 numbers behind my decimal, so I need to bring my decimal up 3 places. So the tax is $75. However, it says what's the total price of my $10,000 car plus sales tax. So I take my $10,000 plus my tax, and that gives me my total price of $10,075. Make sure. Okay, question 2. Emma worked for 7 hours and earned $38.50. How much did she earn per hour? That per tells us this is going to be a rate. When it says earnings, think of that as dollars. So dollars per hour. Okay, so I know she made $38.50. The per is my line. And then how many hours did she work? She worked 7 hours. So it'll be $38.50 divided by 7 hours. And when I do my division here, I end up getting $5.50 per hour. Okay, next question. The ratio of boys to girls in the assembly was 5 to 4. If 180 students were in the assembly, how many girls were there? Well, ratio tells me I need to make a ratio box. Ratio and actual. I know I'm looking at boys to girls, and I'm going to have a total on this one too. Ratio we said is 5 boys to every 4 girls. And then the actual total number of students is going to be 180. I'm going to add these up because I can look at my ratios for boys to girls and get my total. And this is going to enable me to have 2 fractions. I'm looking here for my girls. Now I'm going to write my 2 fractions. And I'm going to cross multiply, so I get 4 times 180 equals 9 times g. 4 and 180 is 720 equals 9 times g. 720 divided by 9 equals g. And I end up with 80 girls. Now, in my answer book, it said that there were 64. I tried this for a long time. I could not get 64, but if you got 64, I would accept that. And you can show me how you got it because I could not figure out how to do that. Okay, next question. What is the average of 4 1/2, 3 1/3, 2, and 2 1/6? When I average something, I'm going to add and then divide. To find the average then, I need to convert all of these so that they have similar denominators because I'm adding my fractions to start with. So 4, and I'm going to put these into 6, so this is going to be 3 6 plus 3 and 2 6 plus 2 plus 2 and 1 6. Then I'm going to add up my mixed number, my whole numbers first. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 gives me 11. And then my fractions, 3 6 plus 2 6 plus 1 6 gives me 6 6. And I simplify and get 12. But actually, this is not my whole answer because I still have to do my division. So 12 divided by 4, because I have 4 numbers, and my actual answer is not 12, but 3. Okay, next one, number 5. What number is 25% of 96? This is when I use my equation they taught us, Wn, what number? My is my equals. My 25% becomes a decimal, times is my of 96. And I can multiply those together and move my decimal, or what I like to do is say, well, 25 hundredths is the same as, ooh, not that, 1/4 multiplied by 96. This is 1, that's 24. So what number is 24? Again, you can multiply these, it's no problem. This is just an easier way. Diagram. Joel gave 1/4 of his 236 postage stamps to his sister. What percent to his sister? First thing I need to do is diagram box. Make it into fourths because it says fourths here. Here's my total, 236. To find out how many is in each box, I do 236. I divide by the number of pieces, which was 4. 236 divided by 4 ends up being 59. I put my 59 in each box. And the first question is, what percent went to his sister? I don't even need to look over here for this question. I can just look at my fraction, and it says 1/4 went to his sister, and as fraction, or a percent, that would be 25%. That's all I need to do. Next part is, how many stamps did he have left? Well, I know that 1/4 went to his sister, which means that the rest of it goes to him. So I could do 59 times 3. That's going to give me 177 stamps. Right, next question. I need to write this number in scientific notation. So I'm going to do my loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 times 10. Here's the tricky part. Make sure you have a negative 5 because I moved it to the right. So make sure it's not positive, it's negative. So remember, the negative exponents are always really small numbers. And letter B shows me I have a negative exponent. So I know it's going to be a small number when I write it in standard form. So I'm going to write 2.4. I have a negative exponent, so I move left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put my decimal here, and I get this happy number. Okay, number 8. The measure, it's what the M means, of angle A is 70 degrees. What is the measure of angle B? So first thing I want to do is label what I know. So this is 70. So then the opposite angle from it will also be 70. Remember my magic angle thing, where I can draw my rainbow and say that this whole thing is 180. That's our magic number, right? So if the whole angle is 180, I can subtract the 70 to know what I already know, and that gives me 110. So it tells me this part of my angle is 110. So B, because it's supplementary, would also be 110. So I'd say it is 110 degrees. Remember, 180 is your magic number. Okay, this is a comparison problem. 4.5 kilometers to 4,500 meters. So I have to remember that 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So that means that I need to change my meters into kilometers. So one way I can do this is with a unit multiplier. It doesn't say I have to do this, but that is one way I could do it. So I have 1,000 meters to 1 kilometer, cancels my meters out, and I have to divide then by 1,000. So dividing by 1,000 is the same as moving my decimal point 3 places, which gives me 45 kilometers. Oh, they're the same, equals. Number 10, divide 7 by 0.27 and write the number rounded to the nearest whole number. So I need to definitely round when I'm done. 7 goes in the box. I'm dividing it by 0.27. I move my decimal over 2 places on both because I can't have a decimal outside my house. That means that my new equation is 700 divided by 27. Once I've done some math here, I realize that I get 2 fitting into 27, or 27 fits into 72 times, which gives me 54. 16, bring down my 0. 27 fits into 16 5 times. 5 times 27 is 135. In case you're wondering, I already did the multiplication on another sheet of paper for these. You can't do this in your head. And then I end up with 25. Now my decimal is here. There's no more numbers to bring down. So the question is, if I did bring down another number, my magic 0, how many times would 27 fit into 250? And I'm guessing it's about 9 times. Let's see, 7 times 9 is 3, 2 times 9 is 18, plus a 6 is 243, so it'd be 25.9. And that would be rounding to 26. Okay, number 11, find the sum. So first thing you need to do is figure out if each of these is positive or negative. So positive 6, still positive 6, plus minus 11. So the minus is stronger than the plus, so it's going to be minus 11. Plus plus is plus, and then plus minus, minus is stronger than plus. Okay, now what I do when I add a positive and a negative, I look to see which is greater. So in this case, my negative is greater. So I'm going to subtract, because I'm adding a positive and negative, and end up with a negative. 11 minus 6 is minus 5. Bring everything else down. Minus 5 plus 5 is 0. 0 minus 7 is negative 7. Number 12. So the first one gives me a fraction of 1/5. If I don't remember my decimal, I can do 5 fits into 1 0 times. 5 fits into 10 2 times, and that gives me my decimal. I can always divide a fraction to find a decimal. Then to find the percent, I move my decimal over 2 places, and that gives me 20%. For the next row, I move my decimal over again. It gives me my 12%. And then from that 12%, I know percents are out of 100. I have a fraction, but I need to simplify it. And both 12 and 100 have 4 in it, so it can become 3/25. All right, number 13. Find the area of the parallelogram. This is actually a really easy problem if you remember that the formula for area of a parallelogram is area equals base times height. So, oh gosh, I accidentally erased my base here. My base is 18 centimeters. This is my base, and my height is 10 centimeters. So area equals 18 times 10. 18 times 10 is 180 centimeters squared. I don't even need this 14 because that's number 14. Most important thing to remember is when I have 2 letters together, it's like saying I'm multiplying 2 numbers. So all I have to do is plug them in. So 1/2 times 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. 1/2 times 1/4 is 1/8 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. Then I just need to make sure I have the same common denominators because I'm adding. So I'm going to make everything with a denominator of 8. And that's going to end up with 7/8. Okay, number 15. First thing I can do is look at this and say, hey, I'm going to cross multiply because I have a letter in a fraction. But I can simplify this fraction first, and both the numerator and the denominator are divisible by 4. So that's going to give me 2/5. Now I have W over 45 equals 2/5. Now I cross multiply and I get 5W equals 2 times 45. 5W equals 90. W equals 90 divided by 5 to get rid of my 5 away from my W. And then W is 18. Number 16. To get my C by itself, I'm going to have to move this to the other side. So C equals 0.125 divided by 2.5. And I know I'm going to have some long division here, so I go ahead and write it that way. And I have to move my decimal over one place in each number because it was I can't have a decimal in my outside number. So now I have 25 and 1.25. And I know that 25 can't fit into 1 or 12, so 25 fits into 125 perfectly 5 times, and it gives me 0.05. Number 17 is asking you to make sure you understand your order of operations. So you'll want to write this neatly line by line. First thing in order operations is my parentheses. Remember, order of operations is parentheses, exponents, multiplying, dividing, and addition and subtraction. So I did my 7 2 minus 2, gave me 5. Next I'm going to do my multiplication inside my parentheses here. Gives me 10. Then multiply 3 times 10 gives me 30. And I end up with 70. It helps if you show all your work when you're doing this. It will really. Number 18. First thing I need to do is look at what is in my parentheses here. And I have 2 and 1/6 plus 1 1/3. I know if I want to subtract fractions, they have to have the same denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and change my 1 1/3 to 1 2/6. Now looking at my fractions, unfortunately I cannot do 1 minus 2. So I need to change my fractions by borrowing. So now I have 1, and I'm going to change the other whole into 6/6. And then add that 6/6 to my 1/6, so 1 7/6 minus 1 2/6. 4 1/4, bring that down. Now I should be able to subtract, and I end up with 5/6 plus 4 1/4. I have to have the same denominator, so I'm going to change them both to 12ths. And I get 4 13/12. I need to simplify those, so that gives me 5 1/12. And right, number 19. I'm going to be dividing and multiplying fractions, so the easiest thing is just to change all my fractions into improper fractions to begin with. Ooh. Hello. Then what I'm going to do is do my stuff in the parentheses first, and I'm going to flip my divided fraction, so I multiply it. And I end up with 21/4 times 8 over 3. Now I can simplify, and I end up with 14. Alright, last one, number 20. This is making sure you can multiply your decimals. So when I multiply decimals, I don't even look at place value to start with. I just look at the numbers that are non-zero. So I have 5 times 1, and that gives me 5, right? But I have 2 numbers after the decimal. So that means my new number is 0.5. Now I have 5 times, let's say, 12. So that would give me 60, right? But how many numbers are after my decimal? 3. So I have to put a number before my decimal. So I get 0.060. And that's it. Hope you did well on your test.